Returning from Labrador, we would spend most of the next week exploring the northern section of Gros Morne National Park. Driving from the ferry south to Gros Morne was a longer drive than we had done in a while. Deciding to skip a planned stay at the northernmost Shallow Bay campground, we had confirmed our reservation for a service site at Greenpoint Campground for our 6-night stay, a reservation we had made back in February. Want to go swimming? We arrived in Greenpoint Campground yesterday, and it was in the rain, and although it did let up a little bit, it's been raining almost ever since. We are looking forward to exploring the north part of Gros Morne, but maybe when it's a little bit less rainy. I know they canceled the ferry that we took yesterday from Labrador. They canceled it today, so there's some wind out there too. But we had some work to do, so we spent the day doing some work and looking out the window looking for whales. We saw a little one, but we're still looking for the big ones. Anyway, should be a good day. In a couple days, we still got some more rain, but it's going to ease up. The rain encouraged us to have some downtime for a day while our batteries charged and we caught up on communications not possible since leaving for Labrador. No whales now. Maybe wet after a day full of rain. Once the rain eased, we decided to stretch our legs and hike the 6 kilometers of the coastal trail south from the campground. The wide forested paths dotted with boardwalks that we walked at the beginning of the trail became narrower and rock-strewn as we approached the inlet near the trail's southern end. Turning back north into a chilly wind was a bit more challenging than the trip south had been. a bunch of rain the last couple days, and it is so nice to see the sunset and know that tomorrow is going to be a sunnier day, and we look forward to it. We're going to take the Western Brook Pond tour, which we've heard a lot about, so I'm hoping that's lives up to expectations. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. What a difference a day makes. The weather for our boat tour of Western Brook Pond did not disappoint. We're here pretty early for the hike and then the boat tour on the Western Brook Pond, and the parking lot's pretty empty. But that won't be the case when we get back. To access the dock where our boat tour would begin, we would hike a 2.5-kilometer trail across the peat bogs as the cliffs of the gorge rose in the distance. So our interpretive sign here says, "Why are there no moose around?" And that's because of that barrier right there. Because they do a lot of damage and they're not native species, so they're
18 kilograms of
trees and shrubs a day, which is devastating the forest. So by keeping them out, the forests are recovering. The cliffs are 600 meters tall.
Yep, 650.
The Western Brook Pond sits in an inland fjord that was cut off from the sea once the glaciers retreated, so it isn't technically a fjord anymore. This deep inland lake is surrounded by soaring cliffs, dotted with waterfalls and evidence of the glacial past that carved it. There were 2 boats leaving the dock for the 10 a.m. tour, hence the large crowd waiting to board. We chose the Western Brook 2 and settled in for our 2-hour adventure. The guides were funny and informative as we took in the marvelous scenery.
Here, folks, we'll see here on the left this beautiful little hidden waterfall. This is Blue Denim Falls. Named so for the sometimes blue cast that you can see from the spray when the sunlight hits it just so.
Great example of what the fjord may look like without water. You are going to notice the deep center, the near vertical sides, and that typical U-shaped profile of a glacier-carved valley.
When we turned to head back to the dock, we turned into the wind and the temperatures dropped considerably. The boat had 2 decks, an open upper deck and an enclosed lower deck. While we sat on the upper deck, many of those on the lower deck stood on the bow rather than be confined indoors. Back at the dock, we made our way on the trail back to the parking lot, warming up in the sunshine of a beautiful day. We finished our return trip and I'm about ready to pull out, but it was a popular day for the boat tour and the parking lot's full. Beautiful day. Before returning to the campground, we checked out the actual green point that it was named for, which sat across the cove from where we were staying. It had geologic significance noted in a plaque near the bottom of the rocky cliffs. At the base of the cliffs were a few summer cottages that local fishermen used to manage their lobster and crab pots. They had a unique way of launching and retrieving their boat. Yeah, that's very slick. Yeah. There it goes. Get on board. Get on board. Very nice.
Use less line too, because you only need the big lines for the two ends for the boats. In between, everything's about the same distance, regardless of what.
Yes. So the cable that's attached to the boat comes up to across where they launched it from. So to winch it back up, They take it through this pulley and it winches it to his truck.
This drives his truck.
We couldn't get enough of the stunning sunset seen from our campsite.
There is one gorgeous sunset on this beautiful day. Again, we're at Gros Morne, Site 4. This is just a short distance from our site. Believe it or not, it's 10:11 p.m. at night. Sun's just going down. And it will be up again before 5 in the morning. Makes for a short night.
The town of Rocky Harbor is the closest one with services, with a couple of grocery stores, some restaurants, a museum, and more, including an ice cream store. The nearby lighthouse housed exhibits, including those about local musicians and their instruments. Having toured the lighthouse at Lobster Cove, we're looking out over Rocky Harbor, and we hope to go across the bay after we're done here, if we're lucky, get lobster at that point right over there. We've come to get our lobster. While our lobster cooked, we made a very quick run to nearby Norris Point for a much-praised lobster roll. With one final hike completed, we made our way back to the campground. Tomorrow, the rain will return. But along with the rain, we had some surprise guests. Our longtime boating friends from Bonnie Lass, Val and Graham. We hadn't seen them in about a decade, but they found us when they were camping 3 sites away. Saying our goodbyes in the morning, we headed off the peninsula and further east. Our first stop would be the tiny town of Little Bay, where we discovered a big event for the town had just begun. The Capeland were rolling. We would learn a lot more about what that meant during our stay as we moved into the central part of the island.